Zapdos going to invest to protect shield, blocking at the Moonblast. The opponent sends out Drifblim, but blink, and you might miss it. The balloon straight in and straight out. Wild Charge picks up that one shot. Of course, Clefable might be in Wild Charge range, but why not hit him with that Hail Mary Flash Cannon, and we take that game. Welcome back to the channel. Buckle up, because today we have got one banger of a battle submission from the highly skilled and highly talented Shiftreason. You might be excused for thinking today's team is somewhat of a theme or meme team. I'm going to tell you, no pun intended, this team is actually shockingly good. Shiftreason is bringing us a triple Shadow, triple Electric team in the Open Ultra League. Electric defensively is a pretty good typing, only having a single weakness to ground. Flying types double resist ground, so the legendary Kanto bird Zapdos, being a flying and electric type, can actually cancel out that ground type weakness and actually single resist. That will be today's lead. We're going to be using Shadow Electivire with access to the buff move of Ice Punch, and looking to bait out them ground types and hopefully punish them with that ice type coverage, freeing up the path for the mighty UFO Shadow Magnezone to sweep the back line. Without any further ado, let's get into the battle. And in game one, Shiftreason's going to lead Zapdos into Zygarde. Zygarde's probably one of the worst Pokemon this team can see. We see the immediate pivot into Electivire. The opponent stays in and send out Gastrodon. Oof. Not only does this team have one ground type, they've actually got two. Gastrodon, being a water and ground type, is going to single resist Electric. Wild Charge might be resisted, but still going to do a lot. Shiftreason farms up, fires off back-to-back Wild Charge, and just like that, Gastrodon finds itself deep in the red. Despite this horrendous position we find ourselves in, the team is working as intended, as Zapdos has found itself in a position where it can tank a charge with and commit to a massive Thundershock farm down. Zygarde re-enters the field of play. Zapdos goes to the correct one Thundershock and the Drill Peck. Zapdos hits hard, but my god, that Drill Peck just did nothing. Shiftreason makes the crunch catch onto Magnezone. The opponent continues to stay in, which is a good sign, but I think our only win con is landing that Hail Mary. Speaking of which, we're full sending. Does the opponent respect the damage? Oof. I was really expecting that to go unshielded. Zygarde in the green. It doesn't really have too much to fear from Shadow Magnezone, especially as most people who have the balls to run this Pokemon will be running Mirror Shot. Undeterred, we fire off one further Flash Cannon. The opponent once again invests that Protect Shield. Zapdos hardly has any HP. And unfortunately, game one doesn't quite go as intended. Heading into the next battle, we lead the mighty Shadow Zapdos into Clefable. A pretty neutral matchup. I do expect us to pivot out at some stage, looking to save Zapdos for any potential ground type. Zapdos fires off the Drill Peck on the CMP tie to a potential Moonblast. Shiftreason looking to call the Swift bait. The opponent actually hits with a Meteor Mash, so the opponent probably running Meteor Mash Moonblast. And if that's the case, I think that's a very silly bait. If you're going to expend all the energy, you may as well full send a Moonblast. Out comes Moltres. We force a Protect Shield, and Electivire hits the field of play. The opponent's forced to go for Ancient Power here, as Electric does resist flying. Oh my gosh, the opponent threw a payback. That certainly would have done a lot, so good shield invested. Electivire farms up, full sends the Wild Charge. Wild Charge gets little respect. Down goes Moltres, back out comes Clefable, and again Electivire's full sending. Wild Charge picks up yet another one-shot. Out comes Pangoro, looking for the Karate Chop farm down. Electivire says no, reaches yet another Wild Charge. Electivire absolutely popping off. Shiftreason sends out Magnezone. Are we going to call a bait? It looks like we're just going to force the opponent to full send a close combat. The opponent actually go for the Night Slash bait, and that bait will be sealing this opponent's fate as Magnezone reaches the Wild Charge, knocks out Pangoro, and we take that game. Oof, what a win. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Zapdos into the big pile of gunk. Kanto Mark, this Pokemon's actually been buffed this season, as it does have access to Thunder Punch. Shiftreason looking to stay in, at least initially. Fire off the Drill Peck. The opponent farming up a boatload of energy. End up playing to the CMP tie. They do not win. Shout out to the GOAT, Home Slice Henry, for that quote. Drill Peck forces the first Protect Shield of the game. Zapdos instantly no shields. Thunder Punch, despite being buffed, isn't enough to knock out. And we see the pivot into Electivire. Out comes Scrafty. Shiftreason not messing around. YOLO in the Wild Charge. You know the drill. Does the opponent respect the damage? Oof, this is the Ultra League. The opponent near gets one shot. We're able to reach the Ice Punch on the CMP tie. Scrafty straight in and straight out. Out comes Walrein. Walrein looks for that Powder Snow farm down. What is going on? Electivire says no. Reaches yet another Wild Charge. The opponent finds himself all shields down, and we send out Magnezone. I kind of expected the opponent to top left, but they're playing it out. They go for the Icicle Sphere bait. They then attempt to catch a charge move. We have the same idea. Magnezone then gets the free Volt Switch. The opponent really are playing out the inevitable. The opponent fire off the Dark Pulse. Magnezone tanks the damage and is looking for that full Volt Switch farm down. We're going to invest the final Protect Shield here. Please, trainer. Have some mercy on yourself. They don't top left. Walrein gonna tank the Wild Charge to their face. Massive overkill. And we take that game. I thought the team I posted yesterday was possibly the quickest team you can run to get some very quick, emphatic victories. But Shiftreason are like, hold my beer. You want to see a quick, emphatic team? Here it is. In the next battle, fantastic lead. Zapdos into Pangoro. The opponent's A switches into G-Weezy. We fire off the Drill Peck, obtaining us an early shield advantage. And Magnezone hits the field of play. Oh boy, if this is an overheat, we're going to be straight in and straight out. Shiftreason like, nah, we don't shield baits in this household. The opponent still needs to fire off the overheat. Magnezone tanking 2 charge moves in the Open Ultra League is pretty impressive. This thing is insanely glassy. Shiftreason happy to shield at the next Brutal Swing. Farm up to the double Wild Charge, and it is nuke time. Wild Charge removes G-Weezy from the field of play. Back out comes Pangoro. Magnezone says you can have some of that as well. Wild Charge forces the opponent very quickly. All shields down. Oh boy, we've now got Electivire with a shield advantage. We send back out Zapdos. The opponent can throw whatever they like. Close combat would do slightly more than a neutral Night Slash. The opponent goes for the Night Slash. Zapdos withstands the damage. The opponent tried to make the catch of a Drill Peck onto Tentacruel. No such luck. They don't even see Electivire, and we take that game. Believe it or not, today's battles aren't even hand selected either. These are continuous sets with Shiftreason playing absolutely out of his mind. In the next battle, we see a Alolan Sandslash in the lead. Somewhat of an issue for us. We say switch into Electivire. This could be a drill run. Again, Shiftreason looks to score the Ice Punch bait. Oof, in fairness, even the Ice Punch almost knocks us out. The opponent makes a very nice catch, catching onto Poliwrath. We go for an undercharge, and I absolutely love that play. This should enable Zapdos to come in, Thundershock farm down before the Icy Wind is reached. Absolute beautiful gameplay here on display today. Back out comes Sandslash. We fire off the Drill Peck immediately. Drill Peck won't do much, but all chip damage is welcome. To my surprise, we obtain ourselves a shield advantage and send out the UFO. Shiftreason with 2 shields again calls the Ice Punch like a savage. Oof, this man has huge balls. He must wear shorts even in winter. Sandslash continues to stay in. We full send the Wild Charge. Wild Charge sneaks through the protection. Out comes the balloon. And just like that, this game is signed, sealed and delivered. The Wild Charge forces the opponent's final Protect Shield. Zapdos with 2 shields can have no problem reaching the Thunderbolt. The opponent recognised the game's over. They did far too much masturbating and they concede the match. GG's. In the next battle, we see some Shadow on Shadow crime with Shadow Zapdos into Dragonite. Zapdos is able to outpace in this matchup, but of course Dragon Breath does objectively more than the buff Thundershocks. We obtain ourselves an early shield advantage, go for the Dragon Claw catch unsuccessfully. The opponent banks a boatload of energy and send out Typhlosion. Come on, trainer. I promise it's a mirror shot. Wild Charge! Boo. Go shielded. I've seen 2 variations of this team. It's either Drapion or Gator in the back. And regardless of what it is, I think Electivire is going to be on cleanup duty. Zapdos re-hits the field of play, shields up the Thunder Punch, fires off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck removes Typhlosion from the field of play. Come on, trainer. What's that third? We're going to have to wait a little longer. No! This Dragonite has so much energy. Why didn't they throw? I have no idea. There's the Gator. Oof, the opponent actually lost so much energy on that Dragonite. Send out Gator. They obviously recognise they're going to get one shot and they concede the match. Heading into the next battle, we see another Clefable in the lead. The last one for a Meteor Mash at us. I'm anticipating us throwing on 7 and looking to call a Swift bait. So my top tip when using Shadow Pokemon is people love to bait, have some balls and call as many baits as you can. High risk, high reward. Is Shiftreason going to look to call the bait? Yes, he is. There's the Swift bait right on cue. I've always found Swift such an underwhelming move from Clefable, but the unfortunate thing is, to come very close to knocking us out with the residual Fairy Wind as Zapdos, it's just such a glassy pick. We actually sack Zapdos, obtain ourselves a shield advantage, and send up Magnezone looking for a farm down. Again, everything will be resisted regardless of what they throw. Again, you can see the lack of bulk on this team. That resisted Moonblast just does half our health. Out comes Steelix, and we have certainly found ourselves a problem. Flash Cannon will be resisted. I was going to say, should do some decent chip damage, but unfortunately that certainly does not put it into Ice Punch range. We send out Electivire, tank the first Psychic Fangs. The opponent is at least staying in, so potentially they're weak in the back. We fire off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch hits for neutral. Oof, it looks like even 2's not going to be enough. Shiftreason looking to play his way out of a dire situation. Finally invests the Protect Shield. Out comes Gator. We're going for the Ice Punch bait. I guess if the opponent shields this, we can instantly nuke him with a Wild Charge. The Ice Punch gets called. We then pivot into Magnezone. Can Magnezone one shield and farm down? I don't think so. Okay, the opponent Ice Beam. Why would you Ice Beam there? Although I even think that play might have even been a BM, as I don't think this is a winnable game. Electivire has hardly any HP. We fire off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge gets called. We're never Thundershock farming down. And unfortunately, we are going to take a heartbreaking loss. GG's to that opponent. Of course, running these wild team compositions, there are going to be some things that are very difficult to beat. Speaking of which, there is that very tricky Pokemon, Steelix. We instantly pivot into Electivire, go straight for the Ice Punch, looking to get us some chip damage. As this one is the Shadow Steelix, Ice Punch does somewhat more, but Steelix is so bulky, Shadow or regular, it just tanks hits for days. Looks like this opponent more than happy to stay in. Shiftreason farms up, throws the next Ice Punch on what looks to be a CMP tie. Ice Punch finally gets to the annoying Steel Snake below half health. Shiftreason lets go of Electivire, saving 2 shields intact. We're going to send up Magnezone. That looks like Flash Cannon range, but unfortunately, once again, we are going to get very annoyingly debuffed. To be honest, you could probably just double resisted Wild Charge and look to save energy. Shiftreason actually just continuing to farm up. Are we just going to bank this and look to snipe with Zapdos? I'd like that play, as long as the opponent doesn't shield. So if they shield this move to get off their Psychic Fangs, it's going to get super annoying, because we've got hardly any HP left on anything. Thankfully, Drill Peck goes unshielded, and out comes Mandibars. Wolf Trainer, are you double weak to Electric? Shiftreason going to shield up the Aerial Ace bait. Do we False End? Yes, we do. Mandibars, you might think you're thick, but are you thick enough? Thunderbolt picks up. No, not the one shot. Holy bloody cow, man. People wonder why I say Mandibars is an annoying bulky vulture. Can you believe it tanked a Thunderbolt from Shadow Zapdos? Out comes Talonflame. Thunderbolt forces the opponent's first Protect Shield. Can we reach the next one? No, we can't. The opponent has to call this. There's no point in shielding. No, Trainer, you've gifted us the dub. They shield up the Drill Peck. They've got a charge move banked. If this opponent thought they're winning CMP, they need a doctor. You, sir, are ill. You're never winning that charge attack priority. Back-to-back Wild Charges enables us to take that game. Another very fun dub. Heading into the next battle. Show me something that isn't Zygarde or Steelix. Gator will certainly take that. You think we're triple good into this thing, but ironically, the opponent is able to win the one shield scenario because the Shadow Claw Hydro Cannon combination is just lethal in neutral matchups. Even after the Thundershock buff, if the opponent call this bait, they are actually able to survive. Oof, the opponent does exactly play that out. Thanks, my opponent. Makes me look like I know what I'm on about. We fire off the next Drill Peck on the CMP tie. The opponent is actually going to play out the ones. You're going to see Gator, an absolute top tier threat. Able to bully its way through type negative matchups. We send out Electivire. Electivire gets the Thundershock farm down. Out comes Galarian Weezing. I'm not a big fan of the opponent going straight for a brutal swing here. It means we can actually tank a charger. They would have farmed up to the play rough, or potential OV that would have made our life difficult. This enables Shiftreason to farm up to the double Wild Charge. The Wild Charge sneaks through the protection. We see a very nice catch, catching onto the UFO and banking all of our energy. Brutal Swing doesn't do too much. Out comes Dragonite. Or if we do resist the Dragon Breaths and the opponent throws on alignment, can we reach the double Wild Charge? We shoot at the Dragon Claw. Shiftreason farms up to the double Wild Charge with a debuff defense. Does that Dragon Breath knock us out? I don't think so. No! Oof, the next one does. That is brutal. Electivire hits the field of play, fires off the Ice Punch. Ice Punch picks up the knockout. Have we got enough health? Survived the Fairy Winds. Who was worried? Evidently I was. But Shiftreason probably wasn't. And we take that game. GG's. This team's lack of bulk really does leave you on the edge of your seat. In the next battle, we lead Shadow Zapdos into Pidgeot. Oh boy, this is definitely something we're triple good into. The opponent save switches into Licky, far too thicky, and here comes Magnezone. Please don't be an Earthquake. Last second, we invest to Protect Shield, and a very good shield at that, as the opponent wasn't messing around and full sent the Earthquake. Shiftreason looks to farm up to the double Wild Charge. Oh man, we're now down both Protect Shields. We shield up the next Earthquake. Fire off the Wild Charge, go for the undercharge, anticipate the opponent not shielding. Is that the perfect undercharge? Beautifully done once again, playing his way out of a very difficult situation. Out comes Gastrodon. We go straight for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge doesn't do too much. We then pivot back out into Zapdos. I love this pivot as the opponent's kind of forced to stay in here. We fire off the Drill Peck forces the opponent's first Protect Shield, Zapdos, so incredibly spammy, able to reach the next Drill Peck. The opponent's very quickly gone from a 2 to no shield advantage to finding themselves, much like us, all shields down. Unless his opponent's got Water Pulse, no one move will knock us out. It's just a body slam. The opponent makes a very nice catch, catching the Drill Peck back onto Pidgeot. Shiftreason banks the Drill Peck, pivots back out into Magnezone. Beautiful gameplay once again. The opponent is going to need to Full Send a Brave Bird to remove us from the field of play. No, we actually survived the Brave Bird. Can you believe it? Magnezone, you bulky boy. In fairness, that is double resisted. We fire off the Wild Charge, send out Electivire just to show our third. The opponent gonna Full Send the Earth Power, picking up that one shot. We've got the Drill Peck banked, and that is gonna be all she wrote. Another very fun game. GG's, and thanks for playing. Shiftreason pulling off back-to-back positive sets in the 2600s with this team is no easy feat. In the next battle, we see Zapdos into the balloon. The opponent happy to stay in. I love it. We are Full Sending the Thunderbolt. Come on, trainer, call the Drill Peck. Thunderbolt! No, go shielded. We are temporarily denied of our big boom, but Shiftreason, undeterred, makes a very nice Icy Wind catch onto Electivire. The opponent sends out Primeape. Primeape is a Pokemon I've been using so much this season, and I've been saying it is the king of CMP. Can you believe it? Electivire has an even higher attack stat. I don't blame the opponent for instant throwing there. Primeape used to win in charge attack priorities. You can kind of cap tie most things. I can't believe I said cap tie, but Primeape has a 182 attack, which is 3 lower than Electivire's 185. Back out comes the balloon. I think we're in trouble. I think this is Virizion in the back. Another home-size Henry team. This meta is so determined by top content creator Zapdos. Fires off the next Drill Peck, which isn't lethal. Oh boy. Is Flash Cannon going to be our get out of jail free card? There's the Virizion. Flash Cannon, a pretty decent move. Magnezone with a monstrous attack stat and same type attack bonus. The question is Flash Cannon enough to knock out? No, it's not. Oh boy. So every time the opponent throws, we are going to sneak a Volt Switch. We need the next Volt Switch to knock out. Oh man. Despite our very best efforts, unfortunately the opponent is now doubled up. They are going to survive on a fraction of HP, reach the next Sacred Sword, and we are going to take a loss. GG's to that opponent. Heading into the next battle, we lead Shadow Zapdos into Dragonite. I imagine we're going to stay in, fire off a Drill Peck, and make a very high risk, high reward play of attempting to catch a Dragon Claw onto Magnezone. At least that's what we did last time. This Shadow Dragonite user remembers that Dragonite can throw charge moves as well. I still can't believe the last one went down with all that energy. It looks like we're just happy to play out the ones. Zapdos does win the one shield scenario, going straight Drill Peck. The opponent unwilling to 2 shield. We then pivot into Electivire, and out comes Typhlosion. We are very, very grateful that the opponent sent this out here. The opponent goes straight for a Thunder Punch. We invest to Protect Shield, and we're actually going for an Ice Punch bait. If the opponent calls this, we are in so much trouble. Ice Punch forces the opponent. Final Protect Shield, Electivire able to reach the Wild Charge. Get ready, bang, there it is. Shout out the GOAT, Oxford U for that quote. The opponent sends out Gator. We commit to the Wild Charge. Unfortunately, we're unable to get there. Magnezone hits the field of play. We farm up, wait the turn, make the catch, back onto Zapdos. Incredible gameplay. The opponent is going to reach a Hydro Cannon. Is Shadow and Shadow Crime Hydro Cannon enough to knock out? No, it's not. Magnezone holds strong, reach the Wild Charge, and we pull off yet another incredible dub. Shiftreason, sir. I take my hat off to you. GG's. For those of you that don't understand what I mean by waiting, what he did there, of course, Gator would throw one Shadow Claw and the charge move. So rather than tapping his phone, he'd be stuck in the Volt Switch animation. He didn't tap, waited for the Shadow Claw, and he was able to make the catch onto his low health Zapdos in the next battle. We see Tentacruel on the lead. The opponent probably wasn't too grateful to see Zapdos. They were probably even more bamboozled when we pivoted out into Electivire. Shiftreason, not messing around, went straight for the Wild Charge, obtaining himself a shield advantage. It looks like we looked to call an Acid Spray bait, but unfortunately the opponent did Full Send the Scald. Shiftreason waits out his clock, sends out the UFO. The opponent continued to stay in. Is this one of them really weird teams with no respect to electric types? We shield up the Scald. Magnezone banks a bucket load of energy. We attempt to snipe with Zapdos unsuccessfully. It's safe to assume the opponent's probably got another nuke move. They're yet to Acid Spray bait our Glassy Shadows. We correctly shield at the Scald. Out comes the balloon. Mandibuzz might have survived the Thunderbolt. The balloon simply not thick enough. The hot air balloon gets popped. One shot Vanquish. Back to its Pokeball. Out comes Pangoro. Zapdos fires off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck forces the opponent. Final Protect Shield. Zapdos able to reach one further Drill Peck. If this Drill Peck isn't lethal, we've got a Wild Charge banked. Looked like we're trying to go for the combo play, but there is simply no need. And we take that game. Heading into the next battle. We see Guzzlord in the lead. Not particularly great for Zapdos, not particularly great for Electivire either. Ice Punch does hit for super effective, but the Thunder Shocks are resisted, and any fast move pressure is something Electivire simply doesn't appreciate. We are able to land the Ice Punch, instantly rocking this shiny Guzzlord below half health. If it actually falls into Crunch, which is the more expensive move, then farm up, try and catch an Ice Punch onto Drapion unsuccessfully, and they're now going to be greeted with the Wild Charge. Wild Charge! Forces the protection. The opponent looks for the Poison Sting farm down. Electivire reaches yet another Wild Charge. Yes, buddy, you flex away. Electivire forces the opponent all shields down. We send out Magnezone. Magnezone can tank any one move. Crunch does a lot, and the next Crunch, or even an Aqua Tail, come quite close to knocking out. With that in mind, Shiftreason is going to burn the final Protect Shield, blocking up the Aqua Tail. The opponent then sends out Gliscopod, evidently with a Death Wish. We bank a bucket of energy and make the catch onto Zapdos. Zapdos tanks the Aerial Ace really well, as Electric does resist flying. Zapdos then overfarms, if I can get my words out, fires off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck, of course, easily enough to knock out. The opponent waits out their clock, send back out Drapion. Drill Peck won't quite be lethal, especially if they've got a good one. The opponent survives on minimal HP, send out Guzzlord. The opponent looks for that Dragon Tail farm down, which they're unable to get. Zapdos fires off the Drill Peck. Drill Peck picks up the knockout. We go for the wham bam combo play. Show them the Flash Cannon, giving them the Big Mac and the fries, and we take that game. Was the Flash Cannon necessary? Super necessary. I'm sorry, Shadow Drapion, of course. It is the channel mascot, but I don't really use it much anymore. It was kind of the channel mascot when no one else used it. Now it's kind of common. I kind of begrudge using it. In the next battle, we found our nemesis again, Steelix in the lead position. We fire off an Ice Punch. We've already established that we need like 4 to knock this thing out, which is kind of ridiculous, especially as Electivire has a monstrous attack stat and Ice Punch has been buffed. Despite Steelix being a big problem for this team, what we've noticed is when it's in the lead, the opponent seems very soft to Electric in the back. So we can kind of bully this thing with a bit of a team effort. Remove it from my screen, or from Shiftreason screen, as of course this isn't me playing. Perhaps our Electric types can cook the back line. We do manage to get Steelix into the red health range, but it's going to be a very difficult Volt Switch farm down, and this opponent's actually looking to bait a potential Earthquake. Do we respect the damage? The instant no shield, Shiftreason, continuing to be a savage. The opponent fire off the break-in swipe. This again should only be a break-in swipe. We actually bank a bucket of energy, send out Zapdos, getting the double resisted Thundershock snipe, and out comes Clefable. Clefable, a very bulky boy, but Zapdos, very spammy and going to soon dent that HP stat. The first Drill Peck lands, doing around 40-45%. This next Drill Peck won't be lethal, but potentially the opponent will start shielding. They've got to shield something at some point. Shiftreason kind of in the same position. Magnezone severely chipped. We shield up the Meteor Mash bait, although that feels better than shielding up a Swift. We're then able to reach the next Drill Peck on the CMP tie. The opponent finds himself all shields down. Shiftreason gonna trust in Zapdos, blocks up the Moonblast. The opponent is now energy dry. They pivot out into the balloon. The balloon gonna be straight in and straight out. Get that Drifblim off my screen. Was the last Flash Cannon necessary? Of course it was. Is this one necessary? Yes. Yes it is. We Flash Cannon Clefable and take that game. And unfortunately, that is just about going to wrap things up for today's Shoutcast. I've got to say a huge thank you to Shiftreason for today's Shoutcast. I've been doing this content thing for around 2.5-3 years, a very long time, and that was without a doubt one of the best and most fun Shoutcasts I've ever done. Not only did Shiftreason bring us a very destructive, a very glassy triple shadow team, he also paired that with some absolute high gameplay IQ. So if you're enjoying the content, smash that like button. If you're new, consider subscribing. If you like your battles featured on my channel, link to our battle submission form is down below. And as always, a huge thanks to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.